Hello and welcome to She's All That, Middle East and Africa's Women in Lenovo three-part podcast series. My name is Celeste, I'm the Marketing Director for Middle East and Africa, and I'm absolutely thrilled that you get to join us for our first episode called She's All That, Balancing Act, where we dive into the world of juggling, motherhood and corporate life and career and personal life. And I've got three incredible panelists to tell us all about that. But before I introduce them, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Lenovo for giving us this platform to have candid and honest conversations about our journeys as mothers in the workplace. Now, let me introduce you to our panelists, three incredible leaders, mothers in their own rights. Claire, Consumer Marketing Director for Europe, Middle East and Africa. Nishi, HR Business Partner for Lenovo in Gulf and in Saudi. Meriem, Levant, Egypt, North Africa Marketing Manager all the way from Morocco. Ladies, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. All right, we're going to dive right in. It is a significant month. It is International Women's Day on the 8th of March. And this gives us an opportunity to celebrate and reflect on all of these various roles that we have to fill as women. We're career women, we're working moms, we wear multiple hats, we juggle it all. Claire, I'm coming straight to you. So give us a glimpse into your life as marketing director for such a big prominent region, incredible mother, you've got your personal life to manage. How do you do it all? Give us a glimpse into what that life looks like.
Not easily, but I think we're all in the same boat. I think, if I go back in the beginning, I think I tried to, that famous saying of you can have it all. And I wanted to have it all every day. And I think I realized that you can have it all, but just not all on the same day. And so some days are going to be good work days. Some days are going to be good exercise days. Some days are going to be good mom days. And you kind of just have to realize that it may be a little bit of a journey. And at the end of the week, as long as you've covered all your bases, I think you've won, because it isn't easy to just get everything right every single hour of the day. Almost impossible, actually, I would say.
Impossible. And I mean, what a mental load on moms, right?
Yeah.
All of these, the WhatsApp groups, I mean, that in itself for you is a full-time job.
Exactly, and for all of us, and I think that's a really great point, because I think there's lots of men who are great fathers and very involved with their kids' lives, but I do think there's all this extra little bucket of things and tasks that fall to us as moms. And the class WhatsApp group is a great example. Like 45 messages from the teacher, bring this, it's this today, PE kit tomorrow, you need this. My husband doesn't touch that kind of stuff, and birthday parties, liaising what time they need to be dropped off, buy the present. It's just all of that extra little stuff that, it's a full-time job, like you say, and then you have to show up at work. And I was reading this really interesting article about rest. And I think we think when you think of rest, you think of sleeping. No. They say rest is just having that moment where you don't have to think about anything. And I don't think we have that as moms. Because if we're not working, we immediately switch to mom mode. We immediately switch to work after the kids have gone to bed. Yeah. Then we're following up on the class WhatsApp group, the birthday party list, etc. And we actually don't really rest. And I think that's quite a lot to deal with. And I think it's almost like a syndrome that we as moms are facing.
I love that. And I think we definitely don't rest. You move from one shift, as they would call it, motherhood is the second shift after you've given your full capacity at work, and that's really tough. But I love how you say that you can have it all, just not at the same time. And I think if we come to grips with the fact that it's this ebb and flow, like you've said, some days are good days for this, some days are good days. If it's an ebb and flow and you come to terms with that,
and that's okay.
And that's okay.
And not to be so hard on yourself that, like I did all of this today, but I didn't do that. Okay, tomorrow's another day, and maybe that's for tomorrow. But I think exactly, just kind of getting to grips with that, I think helps a lot.
I love that, and that rest, and that's super crucial. I love that, Claire. And I think, as a mom, I relate to that, and we've got to come to grips that it's give and take and sacrifice every day. Meriem, I think, we've now spoken about all these hats and all the roles that we play, and the birthday parties and the presents, and the fact that you've got a full-time job and you're on team calls most of the day. Oftentimes we speak about the effect that your work life have on your personal life, but we don't often talk about what effect motherhood has on your work life. So how has motherhood changed the way that you do things at work? How has it affected your career? How is your leadership style affected by motherhood?
Yes, so motherhood has taught me patience that I didn't have in the beginning. So just to make a story short, when I first joined Lenovo, my son was 4 months old, so a baby. And then it was honestly my dream job. So I had to travel a lot, I had to make everything good. It was the beginning, it was a large region. So I was traveling about once a month and I did not see my son grow. And that was very heartbreaking. It's the reality. And then I had to get a reality check after maybe 3 years of that. I was like, Meriem, you're missing out on your son. So here's this job that I've always wanted, that I love, but you have your kids as well. So I had to find a balance. I had to do a lot of work on myself. I had to make some changes. And I understood that I had to find a balance between the two. So what I did was maybe take a little bit more time for myself. Not checking my emails first thing I wake up in the morning, and not checking my emails last thing I do before I go to bed. When I'm here with the kids, instead of staying on my phone or my PC, I needed to stop and then give time to those kids because they need me, they deserve it. I also became a little bit more selfish because I needed to take care of my mental health as well. So I started to work out a little bit more. I always make sure that I have the gym bag in the trunk. If I, miss lunch, I go and I do an hour of, yoga or running. And then I'm healthier mentally to take in what's coming, whether it's work, whether it's family, whether it's more for my kids. So that's the shifts that I pretty much had to do. And then I'm not saying it's perfect every day, just like Claire said. No day is perfect, but this day, maybe today it's on a 7 out of a 10, next day 5, next day maybe a 10. So I take it one day at a time. That's what I do.
Yes, I love that. One day at a time, that's all, that's how we survive.
Yeah.
The life of a working mom. And I do think that, motherhood brings such beauty into the workplace. We are detail orientated, we are productive, we get things done effectively and fast, and there's that saying that says that he who employs a mother employs a good thing.
Yeah,
so I really think, and I love those shifts that you had to make as well.
Yes, I had to.
I'm shifting gears a little bit because I want to speak about something that is, for me personally, very elusive. It's this thing of work-life balance. This term work-life balance is being thrown around very easily, very loosely. What is work-life balance? What does that really look like for us? And so Nishi, work-life balance, how do you maintain work-life balance? How do you put boundaries in place so that you thrive at your personal life, your professional life, and motherhood?
So I think work-life balance is very personal to individuals, right? Just building on what Claire and what Meriem said, when she started at Lenovo, it was her dream job, and she focused on that and she put her energy to that, and there's no reason to feel guilty about it. Again, going back to what Claire said, it's what your focus is. There are going to be days where your child needs you and that's your focus. You move into that mode. I think it's important you're present in the time and doing what you're doing, because if you're at work and you're feeling guilty about, I should have been with my child in school, you're not going to be productive. And how many times have we been at home spending time with kids but replying back to emails? And you're actually missing on that moment. So I think it's important to understand what you want, what your family wants, and there are going to be days, I think we've said that time and again, there are going to be days work's going to take more importance or priority versus the kids, and the other way around. It's what you want to achieve in life, and this could be a phase, right? It could be a week, it could be 10 days, it could be on a daily basis. And I think the biggest challenge we face in today's world is also social media. I mean, you see these influencers with these perfect lives, and I know I talk out of experience because I look at these lunch boxes and I'm like, oh my God, I could never get that. Am I starving my child?
I love that. Where are the days where we had brown bread in your lunchbox, and nowadays it's this
fancy
gourmet smorgasbord. Yeah, exactly.
So I think we need to cut some slack. I think we are our worst critics, and we need to let go. And it's okay to trust other people with some tasks. As far as the task is done, I don't think we need to really focus on us doing it, because I think personally I struggle with that. I don't trust certain things done by my husband or my house help, and
I mean that's valid. I mean,
I understand.
But you know what? It's okay to drop the ball somewhere. So I think it's important you pick what's important for you. It's what's your priority and move on from there. And self-care and it could be just getting your nails done or yoga or what, and just cutting off.
Yeah.
And just coming back to what Meriem was saying about boundaries, because it is about boundaries, sometimes those boundaries come with consequences, you know. So for myself personally, I know I don't attend some calls that are scheduled at 10 p.m. at night, my time.
But I love that.
And I know that there's a consequence to that, because I'm not in that call. I don't really know what's being said. I obviously catch up. I do the work afterwards. But that's a conscious decision that I have to create those boundaries. And I think as working moms, you know, like you said, it's about what you want to achieve, what's important to you, and there will be pros and cons, and you just, you know, you have to kind of draw that boundary out, and it'll be different for all of us. But don't be guilty about crafting out something that you need that works for you.
That's your journey, and
yes.
that's what works for
No
you
one's going to do
and
it
your
for you.
family. And nobody's going to do it for you. And I
No.
love that your boundaries are unique to you
Yeah.
as a mom, and what works for you and your family.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's such an honest answer in that sense. For me, I think, you know, I like to take work home with me, in the sense that I do want to tell my kids that I am working and that I'm contributing to something larger than myself, and that you can do and become what you want to, especially to my girls.
Absolutely.
But I also, maybe I'm rebellious in this sense, but I like to also bring my family life into work.
Yes.
I do want to wear the pipe cleaner bracelet that my daughter make, or stick photos of my family up on my desk. I do want to have my kids pop onto a call if the call is after hours, because you've also got to realize that, you know, and I think there's some education needs to happen regarding what mothers face in the workspace, and, you know, your kids are very much part of that journey.
And just to add on to that, right? It's not isolation. It's not like, it's not a switch on, switch off button. So these two factors are going to mix. Work is going to mix with your life. So it's only real. It's just the reality.
It is the reality of what we face. No, I love that. Now here's one that sparks a bit of controversy, right? Societal expectations. Generations old societal expectations. When to get married, when to have babies, when to start your career. You shouldn't be a working mom. You shouldn't be a stay-at-home mom. Claire, I'm sure as all of us, you have had to face some societal expectations and pressures put on you. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think, you know, I genuinely, before I kind of go into that, I do think that every year that goes by, that's becoming better. Because I just think, you know, I think diversity and inclusion as a broader topic, it kind of lends you to be a little bit more who you are, and it's more generally accepted. So I think we're getting there. But, you know, I'll never forget one of the best things one of the most crazy things, when I was on maternity leave, it was my last day in the office. And I was literally going, you know, the next day I was having my daughter, and I was at the elevator going down, and some guys came out the office, they were going wherever they were going, and they went, "Enjoy your vacation." And I was like,
goodness.
Vacation.
like, I don't, sorry, and I did obviously educate them right there and there, and go, don't ever say that again. And they didn't mean anything bad, but it's just those little comments that still, you know. And like, if you agile working, I remember when I used to leave the office to go pick my daughter up from nursery, half day, and this is 2022 that this was happening. So, you know, it still absolutely takes place. I just think you have to grow a bit of a thick skin. I do think we need to call it out.
Yes.
I do. I don't
definitely.
think you cannot just pretend these comments are like, you know, and shake it off and put on a happy smile. I think you have to go, sorry, you know, not in a funny way, but just go, actually. And I do have like little education moments every now and then, which I'm sure I will get a label for, and I'm sure people don't maybe always love. But I do think we have to do that. We have to own the moment and just go, actually, that's not really cool what you said, and this is why, you know. And like, it's probably not intentional, but the only way we'll change it is if we tackle it.
No, absolutely. We've got to educate. I do believe that the reason why it's better is because, you know, people have spoken out. I can so relate to having to close my PC at a certain time of the day because you've got to pick kids up, or you've got to go home, or I just want to quickly see them before they go to bed after having worked a full day, and just the glares you get, you know, about walking out at a certain time. So that's I like that education moment. It's just, you know, I may be a bit opinionated about it, but societal expectations, it's old school.
Yes.
It's not relatable. We work in this hybrid, always on world where you've got to, like we said, both rightly said, carve your own journey of what works for you and your family. Just because you pick up your daughter in the afternoon doesn't mean that you're not logged on again at 10 to make up for that time.
Absolutely.
So that's great. I think, Nishi, you're working as HR business partner for multiple regions within Middle East and Africa. And so you know exactly the challenges that women and mothers face in the workplace. And that it's not always, and it's not intentional, but it's not always a level playing field. And you also have heard a lot of stories and examples. You deal with a lot of heartbreak and stories. And can you share one of those kind of moments or stories so that we can relate and resonate with that?
So before I get onto that example, I think to sum up what we're saying is, you know, and it's a very common saying where they expect women to work without, as if you don't have a family back home, and raise kids as if you're not doing a full-time job. You know, they are two full-time jobs, but really just going back to the example, and it's something that's very recently really touched me. So my ex-colleague and a very dear friend was promoted recently while she was pregnant, and she took the job and she excelled at it. Unfortunately, her child was born with a rare medical condition. And watching her juggle between the two, you know, talking about hospital runs, running between appointments, going to work directly from the hospital, she's doing it all. And when I talk to her, all she says is, Nishi, I'm not a quitter. And I love what she's saying. Hats off to her, because I don't know how she's doing it. And that's the reality of the situation. People don't know what's happening in your lives and the battles you're facing. And she puts up a smile every morning, gets to work. And of course there are difficult days and she breaks down, but she picks herself up. And she's doing such a fabulous job in both areas, and I'm so very proud of her. So, you know, that's just one example of how difficult things can get. And, you know, I do want to go back a little bit on what you were talking about, expectations, societal expectations. And I faced it so many times after I came back from maternity, asking me, so who's taking care of the baby? I left the child alone at home.
Yeah, exactly.
He can take care of himself.
I threw a bone in there.
But my question is, how many times did my husband get asked this question?
Probably never.
Never.
Never, probably.
Time and again, every woman gets asked that question. Again, maybe it's not intentional, but it's just, it's educating, right? It's telling people it's not okay to ask those questions.
Yes.
It's not okay to question.
All right, so we are shifting gears again. And this is something that I'm reluctant to talk about because me time and self-care seems like this soft and fluffy thing that women need. And it's not true. We all need me time. We all need self-care. We all need to look after our health and our well-being. And it is probably the most underrated, undervalued tool in our toolbox to survive life in the corporate world as a mom. Meriem, give us the lowdown, give us the tips and tricks. How do we do this? How do we place importance on self-care, me time? How do we do this?
Okay, so I think that first of all, we need to unload to reload. In order to do that, self-care is more of a necessity. It has to happen. So for example, what I'm saying, you know, keep that 1 hour, lock it for yourself, whether you go running or do yoga or do something good for you. That's gonna help you with your physical health, but your mental health as well, which is very, very important. What I usually do is, as well as working out, keep that 1 hour a week as well to go meet some friends. Have some friends therapy. Go have a drink, go have coffee, go have an early dinner. Shake it off, laugh it out, and then go home and go back to your office happy, smiling, etc. Again, a lot of people do not realize the importance of having a healthy lifestyle by working out. Go look for that serotonin, is that the word that we use? Dopamine, serotonin. It's so important. And of course, there are other ways. I mean, don't wait to get to that point to where, you know, you're mentally not feeling well and you go seeking therapy, etc. Before then, that's too late. No, that's way too late. Before then, manage it ahead of time. It has to be part of your daily hygiene. The working out, the being active. If you're too active, to slow down. Go do some yin yoga. Go do some hatha yoga at the end of the day. So when you go home, you're not bringing in the load of work to your kids, so you keep it happy, etc. you have to be selfish. It's important, it's necessary, just for you to find that little balance that we're all seeking.
We have to do it, but we just don't. So, jotting this down, making time for myself tomorrow. Dare I ask how you two are doing with self-care and taking self-care and me time? Because we often, in leadership positions, you as yourself are put on the back burner. How are you guys doing with that?
Not well. I think I haven't exercised since 2019, literally. But actually, one of my New Year's resolutions this year, and I'm someone who believes in a revolution moment, was I have to do the emotional bank account credit, you know, because there's so many debits and just one credit. So I haven't done really well with the exercising part, but I'm just doing some good healthy eating and just trying to do something for myself. And it, like you said, it makes you feel better. You know, you just feel like a bit of a new person. So I need to get on. Meriem, will you do a yoga class for me, please?
I'd love to. Anytime.
Yeah, I haven't figured that part out yet, though.
Claire, can you make me a healthy meal? Because that is where
I can do that.
Okay, Nishi, how are you doing with this?
So, you know, I agree with the 1 hour part. What I struggle with, and I personally struggle, is I'm so tempted to actually use that for the family or work. And you know, you might schedule that in for you. It's so easy to get off track. And I'm constantly in this battle where I want to get home before 5:30, 6 o'clock because my son goes to bed at 7:30. So that's the only time I really have in the whole day with him. So I need to finish up all other errands before that, which means that I will probably need to leave work early, quickly do an errand and then get home. So I'm genuinely struggling on that, but I agree with the two of you. Please help. Meals and yoga.
By the way, I can't cook, but I mean, I can arrange a meal. So let's just to clarify.
I'm really good at sleeping. That's self-care, right?
So good. It is.
We don't get sufficient of that either. So
I remember once I had this like leadership roundtable with a lady who used to be the CMO of Coca-Cola globally. So could you get a bigger job?
No, huge.
Probably not. And we had the same question. We said to her, like, how do you balance? She had 3 kids, and how do you do all of this? And she said, I exercise at 11 p.m. And she said, I have a treadmill in one of my rooms, and I exercise at 11 p.m. because that's the only time that it works for me. And coming back to the topic we were speaking about in the beginning, you got to figure out what works for you. Maybe some people, 5 a.m. is your journey in life. And if it's 11 p.m., it's 11 p.m. And it's okay, you know. And again, just finding that clock that works for you.
I love that. I do just want to remind myself that we said baby steps, so 11 p.m. treadmill sessions ain't going to happen for
Too
me.
far.
the motivation.
You know what, we're sadly nearing the end of our first podcast series, but before I close us off, I want to ask you a reflective question, and you are only allowed to answer it in 1 or 2 short sentences. But if you had to go back to your younger self when you started your career, or any stage of your life, to your younger self, and give yourself some good solid advice, what would that be? Meriem?
So I can go ahead and start saying that go ahead and set those boundaries before your 40s. Go ahead and find a way to fight the fact what society is expecting from you. Again, I'm Moroccan, I'm Arab, I'm coming from a society that have very high expectations, and it's so tiring. It's so tiring. And at some point when you set those boundaries, when you reduce the people pleasing, then you find ways into finding your own peace and your own balance.
That's really powerful. So setting boundaries early on in your life, that's super important.
Yes.
Nishi?
I think for me it would be being more empathetic towards working moms. I don't think I understood that then.
Until you became one.
Yeah, until I've actually had to deal with it. And I don't think people without kids or women without kids or anyone actually understands what you're juggling with. You're running a constant marathon, so just be more kinder.
That's really, really good. Having empathy for situations that you might not understand yet, that's really powerful. Claire, advice to your younger self?
I'm going to take you up on the 2 sentences.
That's always powerful. So.
I think the first one is, it's just my favorite saying, which is take the rocks thrown in your way to build your empire, because it isn't going to be easy. You know, I was reading an article that says only in like 80 years time, if we keep going at the pace that we're going on equity and D&I, initiatives, will women be at the jobs that men have in very senior positions. So it's not going to happen tomorrow. So it's gonna you have to have a thick skin, and you have to keep pushing forward, and you can do it. I think that's what I would tell myself. And then the other one, I know you were throwing out the controversial questions, but I'm going to throw out maybe something not controversial, but I think I would have told myself to be prepared that your biggest critics are going to be other women, not men.
Oh, wow.
And I totally underestimated that. I thought this being a working woman journey was about men not understanding, which that is part of it, but I think that's the easy part, is to have those conversations and tackle those topics. What I didn't realize is some of the absolute harshness that will come from other women. So I think it's just to maybe just be prepared, you know, to not to kind of end on a dampering note, but just to be prepared that because I think I wasn't prepared for that along the way.
No, I think another goosebump moment, because I again so relate to that. And if we just knew and understood that by sharing, by empowering, by supporting, by saying it's okay, how can I help, from other women in the corporate space, whether that be women or mothers, our working lives would be a different situation. So that's actually such an inspiring thing to say, let's start supporting and rallying up around each other.
It shouldn't even be a thing, but it still is. I don't know if you guys can relate, but I mean,
definitely.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
And so it shouldn't be a thing. Yeah.
It shouldn't be a thing, it is a thing, but you know, recognizing that is the first step, and correcting that even in our own lives. And I love the building blocks as well, and that no woman's journey is going to be linear. It's you know, using those rocks to build your empire. So that's really good. I think that's great advice, and may your advice and your words be a framework for somebody. May it be a foundation for young women starting in the tech industry. May it be a foundation for women starting in Lenovo and all around the world. I want to thank all three of you for being candid, for being honest, for laughing and having goosebumps moments with me, and you know, sharing your answers. Thank you so much, all three of you, for being here today.
And thank you, Celeste. I think you're with us on this journey, right? So I know you've been asking the questions, but you are part of it.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, and we appreciate it. And to everybody listening in on the podcast, a happy International Women's Day. We wish you a successful journey in navigating your journey as a woman and as a mother at work. Embrace it, find beauty in the chaos. And if you resonated or you related to any of these stories or journeys shared today, please like, share, or subscribe. This is a She's All That Lenovo Middle East and Africa Women in Leadership podcast, and many more topics to come. So stay tuned. Until next time.
Lenovo.